Hello everybody, welcome to Series 2 of It's Bandit O'Clock. So for those of you that didn't watch Series 1, I bought this Bandit 1200 that was a bit rough around the edges and needed some work doing. Replaced things like the front brakes, the brake lines, the chain and sprockets. The clutch needed replacing because that was slipping badly. The carbs was rebuilt. The bike went on the dyno just to see how the fuel was doing. And yeah, so if you haven't watched that, I would recommend checking it out and you can see what we've already done. So now it's on to Series 2. So what are we going to be doing for this series? So it's what I would call winter time now. I only ride the bike normally for 6 months a year, so there's a few bits I want to do to it that didn't really need doing over summer, but now I've got a bit of time where I'm not riding it, I can do it. So the main big job that we're starting this week is I'm going to be stripping the bike down to nothing. I want to powder coat the frame because it is quite rusty. I want to protect it because I want to have this bike for lots and lots of years into the future, and I just want to make sure it lasts. So to powder coat the frame, I've got to strip absolutely everything off the bike. So that's what we're going to start with today. Before we start today, I'm going to show you my toolkit that I'm going to use to strip the Bandit down. The thing I love about these bikes is you don't need a lot of tools to work on them or strip them down to absolutely nothing. So I'm going to show you that now. So, toolkit for today, we've got selection 3/8 sockets, we've got a 1/2 inch ratchet that's extendable to go with a socket, get the wheel out. We've also got a 3/8 ratchet that's extendable with a flexible head, comes in quite handy. Some extension bars for those hard to reach places. Set of nice long Allen keys, various sizes because there's a few on the bike. We've got a selection of spanners of various sizes. I have a ratchet screwdriver which comes in very handy. Selection of pliers and cutters because I know there's a few tie wraps on here. A couple of stubby screwdrivers, again for those hard to reach places. Then we have a rubber mallet for things that need to be persuaded off, and then we've got a punch as well. So that should be everything I need to take the bike apart. If there's anything else I need along the way, I'll be sure to let you know. I'm going to make a start stripping the bike down, and the first tool I need is the key. I'm going to start at the back and I'm going to take everything off the back, so the panels, under tray, all that sort of thing. I'm going to move forward to the tank, take the tank off, get that off. Then I'm going to move to the front, take the handlebars, clock, headlight, wiring, all of that sort of stuff off, get all of the higher level bits off, and then we'll go from there. So first up, take the seat off. So I'm going to take these rear panels off, and for convenience the bolts have already been removed. So there's two Phillips heads there, two plastics Phillips heads there, and then there's a couple underneath as well that hold it all up. Rear light has been disconnected, so have the indicators. So I just need to pop these out and then pop the plastic lugs out, which you need to be careful with because they do snap off. And then the whole rear end comes off as one piece. Now the under tray, I need to remove the CDI box, the fuse box which has already been removed, don't ask me why, and then I need to remove the under tray. Now there's a bolt up here and a bolt up here, you can undo those with a 10mm or a Phillips head. Same down here, and then there's some just on the inside that are really hard to get to and you might need a stubby screwdriver. And also, to get the back end out, you have to push quite hard. this out. What I have got is some lovely little pots to keep my screws in, so I know where they've come from. Now you have to push quite hard because there's a big piece that sticks out past the luggage rails. You have to give it a bit of a pop like that, and then it should come out. One under tray removed. It's amazing how quickly the bike starts to look stripped down. Only a couple of minutes work and it's already looking really naked. So next thing I'm going to do is move on to the tank, which I need to remove two 10mm bolts just there. I have these lovely top hat washers and spacers which work quite well. Take them out. Now getting a tank off can be a two-man job sometimes, so I'm going to try it by myself and see how I get on. But what I need to do is disconnect the fuel line and the vacuum line to get the tank off. There's also a little clip just here for the fuel centre to remove. So I'm going to lift the tank up. You need to be careful that you don't knock the fuel tap off. Just under here, there's a little clip. Get that off. Vacuum hose is off. Now, fuel line is off, and that's the tank removed. Now I've got the tank and the rear panels off, I'm going to start removing some of the wiring loom, move forward to the air box and then the carbs, get those off, get the coils off, and then we'll move more towards the front end. So the one thing I love about Suzuki's and the Bandits is on the wiring loom they use these reusable tie wraps, which are very, very handy. I've got a little pot of these just in case you ever need one, but they work a treat and it means it's very easy to take your wiring loom off. So that's the earth connection that goes to the back of the engine, which you need to undo, and then the rest of this is for your rear light. So it's amazing how quickly it starts coming apart. Over on this side we've got a few more relays and bits and bobs that are on rubber that just slide off. Got my aftermarket flasher relay for my LED lights. our starter relay as well. And then we've got our CDI and our fuse box, which when the airbox is out the way will all pull through forward to where the rest of the loom is. So next thing I'm going to do is remove these airbox covers, remove the airbox, take the carbs out so we can take the airbox out and then move forward. Lost one. These covers can be hard to get off. They've got a very similar lug to the rear panels. Now on your bike, to get the airbox out, there's two screws, one here and one the other side, that should hold the airbox in place, but they are actually missing on mine, and quite a few bikes that people have took the airbox off with don't put them back in either, but you should do really. But it just means there's some movement in the airbox. So I'm going to take the airbox lid off, take the air filter out, and then we'll start undoing the carbs. So 2 screws for the airbox lid. And airbox lid off. I'm going to put the screws back in just so I don't lose them and I remember where they came from. It's always a good bet when a bike's going to be stripped down for a little while and you don't know when you're going to put it back together and you forget where everything goes, which does happen even to the best of us. So now the air filter comes out. That was brand new, probably a couple of thousand miles ago, so it's amazing how quickly they get dirty, but that's more than serviceable and will go back in. Now what I need to do is remove the clips just here on the carbs. I'll do a nice zoom in for you so you can see where they are. There's one on each carb connected to the airbox side, and then there's one on each carb at the inlet rubber side. So I'll do a zoom in and you can watch me take that off. So got the first clip coming undone, and now it moves fairly easily. I'll do it a little bit more. There we go. Right, so there's 3 more to undo. There we go, 3 undone. 1 more to try and find. These can be a little bit awkward. A torch can help, and depending on if people have taken them apart, they're not always in the same place. So on mine they're down underneath the carbs, out the way. I've had them where you've had to undo them from the top before, going down this way. So sometimes you have to have a bit of a look around to try and find them. So now the airbox should come away from the carbs. There we go. Sorted. So now I need to do exactly the same thing, but on the carb side, just up here. Mine all seem to be on the top. So I'll get them undone and then the carbs can come off. So the carbs should be ready to come off now. I'm going to take the carbs out, then I'm going to remove the throttle cables and the choke cable. I'm going to need a 10mm spanner to do that, but I'm going to do it once I've took the carbs off. So if you lean back and forth with them, sort of wobble them a bit, you should be able to get them off. Now I'll remove the breather pipe from the airbox as well. Get that out of the way, make life a lot easier. Now, this bit can be a bit awkward. I tend to lift one end up. Get the old clutch cable out of the way. Just like that. And I try to keep them as level as possible so we don't get anything coming out the overflow pipes. So I'm going to loosen the nuts off on the throttle cables. I've loosened the cables off. I've got a small Allen key that's going to help me push the nipple out of the other end. So let me just turn these, disconnect that, push that out of there, like that. That's gone. And then we need to do the same for the other end. This can be one of the more fiddly jobs. And there we go, the carbs have been removed. Okay, so the carbs are off. I can move the airbox forward and then I'll be able to move the wiring loom through to help get it off the bike. So, push this forward a little bit. Hopefully, we'll be able to pull most of this loom out. Now, there's a couple other wires I've got to disconnect. Like the side stand switch, and a few others like that. They all go into their own way. There. That one there from the alternator. There we go. So, hopefully, I should be able to slide all these through. Now you might be wondering why I haven't taken the airbox out yet, and that is because it is quite awkward with the engine in. It's not impossible, but it is hard work. So what I'm actually going to do is take it out after I take the engine out. So all of that wiring has now been brought through. Through to the front, so it's much easier to get off when we disconnect it all at the front. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove my coils. Now what I'm going to do is use my mobile phone. I'm going to take a quick picture of which way the wires go on, because if you do it the wrong way, it won't fire right, or it will fire on the wrong cylinder at the wrong time. I've had this problem in the past where you can never quite work out which way they go on, or you do eventually, but quick photograph just makes life easier when you're assembling the bike again. So I'll pull the plug caps out. Okay. One more. And then a 10mm socket. Okay, so I'm going to start stripping the front end down more now so we can get the wiring loom and all the other bits and bobs off. I'm going to remove this triangle shaped panel because that's where the wires run through. I'm also going to take the headlight bowl off because that's where most of the plugs are for the wiring loom. I'm going to take the headlight off, a few other bits, clocks, all of that. Just start stripping it down. So I'm going to crack on with this, which is normally an Allen key. And again, with most of the stuff, I've got a little bung that pops into the rubber just there. Just going to remove the one on this side as well, just to make life easier. Okay, that side's been removed as well. Next up, 10mm spanner. Just in here is a little bracket that holds all the wires in place, throttle cable, stuff like that. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take that off. It's just going to make life that much easier getting the wiring loom through. I'm also going to remove the one on this side as well. Now I'm going to move on to removing the headlight. 2 Phillips screws down in the bottom, some countersunk ones. You quite often find these cross-threaded or chewed up because it is quite hard to get all the wiring back in the headlight. If you've ever done this, you'll know what I mean. Okay, so we've got little screws there. I'm going to remove the front of the headlight. Dead wasp just fallen out. And what I'm going to do is put these back in here so we don't lose them. I don't know if you can see that well, but there's an exposed wire there for my side light, which is going to need a repair, but we'll cover that in another episode. So I'm going to remove that, and that plug just fell off. So yeah, that's definitely going to need some repair work. So now we have some clips that hold the wiring in. We can move those out the way, and then we can actually move the rest of the wiring out. So you've got your indicator wires, you've got switch gears, you've got your ignition, you've got another switch gear, and then you've got the one that goes to your clocks. There we go. And we should have another indicator wire. So there we go. And we've got some horn wires as well. So we'll take those off the horn. So I'm going to take the headlight bowl off next, and then that way we'll be able to pull all the wiring through. It's going to be probably a 12 and a 13 to get those undone. Double check. 12 and a 13. Put that back through there, just so we know. Right, so I'm going to move the headlight bowl forward a little bit, put the bolt back through, with a little foldy bracket, Do the same on this side, just so we know where they all go back. Now there's one thing I have forgotten to take off, and there's a bolt here that is for adjusting the headlight beam. So I'm going to get a 12mm socket and an extension bar, take that out, and then the headlight bolt will come away. So it's just above your indicator bracket, just in there. Get that off, and then I'm going to screw it back through so we know where it goes. And now we can remove the headlight bolt. We can gently get the wires to come out. It can be a bit awkward because there are a lot of plugs, but with a bit of perseverance they will all eventually come out. One plug, two plugs, three plugs. No, just one last big bunch. So most of the wire is now disconnected. We can pull through each switch gear, get those out of the way. You've got the ignition one there, and then you've got the main piece of loom, which we'll be able to pull through in a minute when we cut a couple of tie wraps. So I need to now cut 2 cable ties to get the wiring loom out. When I'm putting the loom back in, I'll probably use the reusable Suzuki tie wraps, just because it's much better than having these on. So there's one, and then I have another. And now we should pull that through there, and then that comes through here. And then all we need to do is clip this off, remove that one there, which is the earth, and then the whole wiring loom can come away. So, little 10mm. And now missed one. Now we have one complete wiring loom. Okay, so now I'm going to get a 13mm socket. I'm going to take the brake calipers off, because once I've done that, I'm going to take the top yoke off complete with all the switch gears and everything like that on it, because I'm not doing any painting or any work or anything like that to the top yoke. So save myself a bit of time, I'm just going to take the top yoke off complete with the clocks and everything, and then take the calipers with it as well. So time to get those off. Okay, that one's off. Again, I'm going to put the bolts back in. Then I'll take this caliper off. Next thing I'm going to do is the speedo cable. I'm going to undo that so I can move that out of the way, and then I'll start taking the top yoke off. So I've got a 12mm socket. I'm going to undo the pinch bolts. One thing I do need to do is remove the clutch line. So I'm going to get a rag so I don't spill any brake fluid everywhere. Take that off so then everything on the top yoke can come away. Put a nice bit of rag around it. I'm going to gently pull this through without trying to spill any fluid anywhere. And we'll leave that out the back. So the next thing I'm going to do is get a big spanner so I can undo the nut on the top of the stem, so then hopefully the top yoke will come away. So I'll put the ring end on and it comes undone. A few turns and then you can undo it with your fingers. Now, if I put on the bars, the yoke should come away from the bike. There we go. So I'll carefully move around to the front, and what's holding it back now is the calipers. So I'll move one through. I'll move the other, and then we'll pull the choke cable through, we'll pull the throttle cables through, and that is it all removed in one go, and it's going to create a lot less work for us when we put the bike back together. Next bit is we're going to remove these bits here, which are the headlight brackets. They're pretty bent. I've been looking at them and they are definitely bent, so I'll either look at trying to straighten them or possibly replace them, but they should, with a bit of twisting, just slide off just like that. Got the horn, the indicator, and then where the headlight bolt's up to. So that one's off. So we get this side off, and then it's removed. Now the last thing I'm going to do for this episode is, with some blue tissue, put a little bit down each one of the inlets, because it's in the garage and we're working with nuts and bolts, and so it could fall down there, which I really don't want to happen. So put a little bit in each one of those. So there we have it. That is everything we're going to do in episode 1 of series 2 of It's Bandit O'Clock. I hope you liked what you've seen so far. Give us a comment, let us know how we're getting on. If there's anything you'd like to see us do in the project over winter. So we're down to more or less a rolling chassis now. Next episode we'll finish stripping down the rolling chassis and then get the engine out of the frame. So thanks for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.